Hi, if you're already start worrying about how exactly the remaining four exams which got cancelled by ICSE board or the way in which they compute this scores, already the board ICSE board mentioned they will be following the CBSE pattern in computing the final score. Today, in the CISCE.org, their website, official website, they published the formula in which how they compute the remaining ICSE 2020 exams, and a detailed PDF is also provided. If you go over there, one of the best part is they had given the details of how exactly they will compute. It is very elaborative, and it's having all the details. They have given multiple case examples considering various different scoring patterns. So see, there are like in the beginning they have given the formulas used. If you start, I think they took the best of the minds from the Indian Statistics Institutes, and they came out with an score. I think they also looked at the previous year's exams and the scoring patterns and so on different exams. And finally, also they took some of the cases, for example, various different averaging of the scores in the board for the best of those scores, and then how they arrived at a final mark. So let's look at a couple of examples. I think one of the scenario, for example, let's say already since many of you have written the written six or more or seven, right, exams. Let's look at a scenario where the scores for English literature, which is around 71, grammar 70, history civics 75, math 71, physics 68, chemistry 72. We have just given some random numbers here for ease of understanding. And if you look at these six subjects, I have taken here a case where six exams are done and four are pending. In some of the cases you might already covered seven. In that case you can add one more. So the best three subjects are history, chemistry, and since the third one would be either maths or English, doesn't matter, it's 71. So they take the three scores 75 plus 72 plus 71 and average it out, which is about 73 out of 80. So this is what the score they took from the exams which are already conducted. Now for the remaining subjects, let's look at the four subjects, right? Geography, biology, Hindi, and electives, any one of your electives. Internal assessment for the first three, geography, biology, and Hindi are 18, 19, 19, and electives, which is in 100, let's say it is 98. Now let's look at how the final score for each of these subjects are computed. Let's take the example of geography, and see geography. If you look at here, now there are two parts to it, right? There is one where you need to look at what will be the score out of 80. That's your final exam score. For that, they took this average of the best three subjects, which is 73, and they had given 70% of the weightage. 70% of the total marks weightage is given to the average best of the three subjects, and then the other 30% of the average, weighted average, is given to the internal assessment. In geography, if you look at here, it's 18. So 18 would be given 30% of the weightage, and in each of the case, see, if you are wondering, I think in the PDF also, what is this 100 by 80 and 100 by 20? It is nothing but each of these scores, the average of the best three subject score, which is given 70% weightage, will be again computed as a percentage, as well as the internal assessment as well, which is working out to be 63 plus 27, and it is adding up to 90.875 percentage, right? Now that 90.875 will be 80% of your total score, which is out of 80, right? So that is again working out to be about 72.7. If you look at here, what changed is the average score which is 73, from where they are trying to derive the marks for geography, which is like, basically changed from 73 based on the 18 as your internal assessment score, that had come to about 72.7, 0.3 reduction. The reason being, the internal assessment had pulled it down with the 30% of weightage. Now the internal assessment is again 18, so they add that, and final score is 90.7. And as per the ICSE board, if you have scored more than like zero point 0.5, it will be round to the next number, 91. So that will be your final score. That would be the case for geography, and similar for biology and Hindi, where you have the internal assessment which is provided in 20 out of 20, and 80% of the weightage will be given for your final exam. When it comes to the electives, where the internal assessment is given at 100, so what they do is like, only the difference here is how they compute the exam score. So if you see here, it is like since both are out of 100, so the 73, which is the average score computed with respect to 80, that will be computed as 100 percentage, and then 70% of the weightage is given to that, and the internal assessment which is 98, again that is also since it is at the 100 percentage basis, so they compute both of these scores, and then the number is working out to be 93.27. Now for the final score, since both of these are like out of 100, so they take this 93.27 plus 98 and average it out, so that you get a final score of 96. So that way, I think, one advantage with this entire methodology, it is advantage for the students, because let's imagine your best 3 subjects of the 6 exams are already averaged and chosen to be the scores to be taken for the rest of the 4. So your total 4 subjects will have an more or less the average of the best 3 for 6. Right, so you will be actually like in the advantage side compared to the earlier expectation, where like they will be taking your pre-board scores, and lot of anxieties in and around the stringent methodologies in which schools will conduct the exams, and the parity issues and so on. So all those things are gone. It's again purely based on whatever the scores you have done as well in written in the exams, and they have taken the best again, and also about your internal assessment, which is already communicated to the board as part of your the communication which your school does. So with that, you can start looking at your question papers back and see which all are your best 3 papers, and start making some intelligent guesses on which